Good afternoon to you. I'm Allie Domerson sitting in for Chris Fabry. Today at the Radio Backyard Fence, we're going to have an honest, candid conversation about marriage. The good, the bad, the sometimes ugly. We've got Christian marriage coaches Mark and Jill Savage. Their passion for helping marriages is born out of a crisis they experienced in their own. They're honest about this, the betrayal, the infidelity that threatened to implode the life that they'd spent years building together. But instead, God brought them down a path of healing and restoration. There's going to be so much hope in this story. And they're going to share with you the lessons they've learned that every married couple needs to know. I hope you'll listen in. It's coming up today on Chris Fabry Live from the Heart, for the Heart to the Heart. Our number, if you want to give us a call, if you have a question or a comment, 877-548-3675. Mark that down, 877-548-3675. I want to introduce the team who is so privileged to be making this show happen for you. We've got Ryan engineering for us today. Lisa is sitting in the producer's seat. Trish is off today, and then Josh and Simon, those are the voices you will hear if you call in today. They will be answering phones. I want to get right to our guests so that we have time to hopefully take a couple of your questions and really unpack their story. Mark and Jill Savage. The thing that I find the most honest and even a little funny that you share that you have been married for 43 years, 33 of them happily, which is...
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep, it's true. They are the parents of 5 adult children, 7 grandchildren. They make their home in Normal, Illinois, which, fun fact, is about 45 minutes away from where I grew up. I grew up in Central Illinois, so I know Normal very well. Been there mostly for high school volleyball games back in the day, hopping on the bus, driving 45 minutes to the Bloomington Normal area to usually get beat by those powerful powerhouse volleyball teams that you guys have there. It's so great to have you on Chris Fabry Live with us today. Mark, I want to start with hearing a little bit of your love story. Now, if I know any married couple, there's always like 2 versions of kind of the how we met and how we fell in love story. At least for me and my husband, he tells a totally different version than I tell, emphasizing details that I don't find important, but he does. So, Mark, your version of how you met and fell in love with this lovely gal, Jill.
Well, Jill and I met as on a blind date. A couple that knew both of us talked us into meeting each other, and Jill saw me, fell in love, and the rest is history.
All right, Jill.
Jill's laughing, so I don't know. Maybe I told my story right then.
Jill, you want to throw in any details, addendums, corrections?
Yeah, no, it was kind of funny because we met on blind day, and we were actually meeting at his house. He had a mobile home that he lived in, and so my friends and I were meeting him. He was kind of running late, and he kept sitting in his car and not getting out. And I thought, what is going on?
I was trying to scope her out to see,
okay,
do I go up and meet her or do I drive off? And then I was like, Mark, this is not a good idea. This is your house, man. Get out of the car. So
go meet this girl.
I did. Yeah.
Yep. So no, we did. We met and we made a connection.
Yeah.
I had grown up in a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
Mark was a new believer.
I was a new believer less than a year.
Yeah.
And
he actually accepted Christ at a Billy Graham crusade.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And so one of his first things he said to me at the end of the night is, I'm a new Christian, and it's important to me that, somebody that I date is a believer. And
I didn't even know what I was looking for, but I knew that I needed to stay true to this commitment that I had just made to Christ. And so I did. I said, Jilly, I am a new believer. I don't know if you believe in Christ or not, but if you don't, I'm really not interested. If you do, I'd love to see you again.
Oh,
yeah.
And
Jill, you must have lit up because as a follower of Christ, I mean, and as a woman, you hear a man say that, and I mean, that's major points if they're being truthful, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was like, absolutely. And so I was very happy to see him again. And so we did. We actually, let's see, we met mid-August. We were engaged by Thanksgiving, and we were married by the following June.
Right.
Okay.
So we were married before we'd known each other. I mean, we known each other about 10 months by the time we got married. And not that we would actually recommend that, because in reality, we grew up a lot together. But yeah, that was our story.
Yeah.
No.
And I had a
Go
lot
ahead,
of
Mark.
growing up to do. I didn't realize that, but I came packing a lot of baggage.
What
Well,
do you
we all
mean?
do.
What was what was primarily the baggage you feel like you brought into marriage, Mark?
Well, we'll say that Jill brought 7 suitcases. I brought 7 semis. And
Most of that was from your home of origin.
from my childhood, and I grew up in a broken family, very dysfunctional, and so I brought a lot of selfishness, a lot of not understanding how to be a healthy man, how to be a healthy husband or father.
Yeah, a lot of shame too, where feeling like you're not good enough.
Right.
And that played out in a lot of different ways as well.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting. In childhood, I fantasized about when I get my own family, and I had this unrealistic expectation, huge expectation of the healthiness that my family would have. The difficulty was I had no idea what healthy meant. I didn't know how to get there. And so I came in just fired up at how good Jill and I are going to be together.
Yeah.
And then we had our first conflict
On our honeymoon.
on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
I was like,
This is off to a
Uh-oh.
great start.
yeah.
Jill,
Yeah.
what baggage would you say you brought in? As you mentioned, you were raised in a Christian home. Maybe there wasn't the obvious dysfunction, but certainly you had your 7 bags, right?
Right. And so I think we all carry baggage. You know, we all have dynamics that play out in our formative years. And for me, probably one of the biggest ones was that the family I grew up in was very loving, very willing to, let you know that they loved you. They were on the front row of anything I did, but we didn't do emotions.
Okay.
So we were kind of the buck up family. And so if life got hard, you just bucked up. And so I didn't come in with a lot of emotional knowledge. When you don't have a lot of emotional knowledge, or you're a little emotionally shut down, what happens is then you kind of are a little low on compassion.
Okay.
And so those were the things that played out. And so we like to also say that, like, from the home that Mark grew up in, he came into marriage with emotional diarrhea. I came into marriage with emotional constipation.
And we need to figure out how to get regular. Yeah.
So, it's interesting. Would you have described yourself as opposites, or did you feel like, wow, we've got perfect compatibility here? Like we're so much alike.
Oh, yeah. We definitely at that point felt like that, until we had to live together and just deal with some of these things day in, day out.
Yeah.
But no, because that's why opposites attract, right, Allie?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I mean, it's like, oh, that's why everybody's like, oh, you complete me, until that completion, starts to really irritate you, and you're just like so done.
Yeah.
How quickly did you were you involved in ministry? I know, Mark, you were a pastor for some time.
Right.
You were active in ministry for a good portion of your marriage. How quickly did that come after the wedding?
Right away, we were knee
Involved
deep
in our
in
church.
church ministry, and then probably 4 or 5 years.
No, it wasn't even that long. Let's see, 3 to 7. So 4 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you're right.
We relocated to Illinois so I could attend Bible college,
Mhm.
and I would say that the challenges in our marriage became more obvious when we made the move to Illinois. So it's all Illinois' fault. No, no. Because I think it revealed itself because all of our securities in family, and we grew up in Indianapolis, everything we knew was there, and all of a sudden we just had each other, and God began to reveal what needed to be worked on.
Yeah.
Mark and Jill Savage are with us this hour. God revealed what needed to be worked on. You know, the Savages so they say no marriage crumbles in a day. There were some slow fades, subtle at first, before crisis hit. Coming up, we've got more with Mark and Jill Savage. Our number here, 877-548-3675.
This is Chris Fabry Live, and we will get right back to the program. But first, a provocative question. What if the church led the way in healing the racial divide? Dr. John Perkins asked that question until his death in March. In his book, One Blood, he shares his parting words with you and me, a powerful call to multi-ethnic reconciliation rooted in Scripture and his own lived experience. Request your copy with a gift of any amount, Chris Fabry Live. Call 1-866-95-FABRY, 866-953-2279, or go to the website chrisfabrylive.org, chrisfabrylive.org. And thanks for your support of the Radio Backyard Fence.
Well, no marriage is perfect, right? You look at your spouse, they've got their flaws, and boy, oh boy, you've got your own. And you'll realize that if you take even a small glance in the mirror. But when did those little quirks, little disagreements become something more difficult to resolve? We've got Mark and Jill Savage with us today. They're the authors of No More Perfect Marriages. When did you realize we're in trouble here? Somewhere after I do, things started to go a little sideways. Was there a moment where you realized, like, okay, we're starting to be on thin ice here? Or did you just kind of keep going day by day, recognizing, maybe things aren't great, but we're making this thing work?
I would say we kept going for a really long time. And I don't even know when was the first time we saw a marriage counselor. I would bet we were 10 years in, maybe 12 years in. And we realized, I think that we need some help. And thankfully, both of us were willing to go. Sometimes that's not the case.
Right.
And when that happens, it's best that you go get some help, that. But thankfully, we were both willing to. And we saw probably off and on for the first 28 years of our marriage, we probably saw 4 or 5. Well, actually, wait a minute. Let's go back. I forgot about what happened when you were in Bible college.
Right. So when we lived in married student housing at Lincoln Christian, I think it was a Bible college back then. And a neighbor asked me to go to lunch, and I really appreciated that he had the courage to say, Mark, I'm hearing you yell, basically.
Oh, wow.
And I want to encourage you to talk to this guy who was a counselor, that you are a lot like me, and he really helped me. And so that really began a journey of me starting to dig into me and my past and my upbringing and that influence. And so personally, I was in and out of counseling for, well, that was probably 5 or 6 years in.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
for the next 23 years, I was in and out of counseling. And then Jill and I did go to marriage counselors.
A couple of, a few times. And I feel like we would get better. We'd understand each other. We can now look back on it and realize, though, a lot of times those were putting band-aids
Right.
on situations. We weren't understanding the root of what was going on. It wasn't until we had our dark year, which was 2011, 2012, that, and then we began to heal from that. And that's where we got to the heart of the dynamics that were playing out in our relationship. And we no longer, after that, we did not put band-aids on anything. We did surgery.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2011, 2012, you described those as the dark years. Mark, what happened that's kind of set off these dark years of your marriage?
Well, I had, so probably the 2 years prior and then leading up to that, I had become very discouraged in life. I actually entered my own midlife crisis. I didn't really believe that was a legitimate term until I realized I'm in one.
Mm-hmm.
But life wasn't rolling out the way I had envisioned. I was disappointed in where I was in life. I was disappointed in ministry. I was disappointed in God and everybody. Everybody was a problem, Allie, but me. And because I tried to fix me, and so I couldn't. And so it must be everything else. And so that really ultimately unraveled into me having an affair. That first started in late spring of 2011 and then culminated in me moving out February of 2012 and getting an apartment, pursuing this other relationship wholeheartedly, thinking that was going to fix everything, until I realized the common denominator in all of my struggles wasn't all this other stuff or all these other people. It was me.
Yeah.
Well, because that relationship started to have conflict.
Right.
And that was what woke you up.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, what, the enemy is so deceptive. What
Sure.
were the lies that you were believing that allowed you to kind of justify? I mean, you had been in ministry, like you knew the truth. What
Right.
lies did you believe that allowed you to kind of make these decisions?
Although my lies were deep, a lot of shame lies. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
I even believed that God loved everybody else but didn't love me, that his blessings and provision was for everyone else but for me. I felt like I believed the lie that everybody was taking from me. And in our marriage, I believed that I couldn't measure up, that my voice didn't matter, that I didn't matter, that I wasn't good enough.
There were also two other ones that you shared with me, and that was that I didn't need you.
Oh, right.
Mm.
And then the second one was that the kids would be fine.
Right.
Wow.
The kids would not only be fine, they would understand.
And celebrate me, really, that
Yeah.
Mom's a hard woman. She's a strong woman. Dad, I don't know how you put up with her as long as you did. And
But that did not happen.
that did not happen.
Jill,
Yeah.
as you started to see Mark make these decisions, what was your reaction as a wife? I mean, obviously you're shocked, but then this is a series of decisions there's the discovery that this is going on, but then there's the what did you do?
Well, I was heartbroken. Let's just start there. I thought, I remember when I confronted him with what I had found. and he was very self-righteous and like, yeah, I'm having an affair and I'm not stopping. I thought, this isn't my husband. I don't know who this man is. And so I was beyond heartbroken, and but I also knew he'd been struggling for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly didn't understand he'd been struggling to this degree, right? But I knew he'd been struggling, and I knew that it really wasn't about our marriage. And I'm not saying that there weren't dynamics playing out in our marriage that we needed to look at. There were, but it wasn't. I knew that this was about a fight going on inside of him. And so I would have this, I would have massive cry fests. I would be beside myself in anger and frustration and hurt. But also I had this part of me that had some compassion for his lostness. Like, it was like, I knew that he was just extremely lost and had really lost his way. And so ultimately I made a decision to, I didn't even know there was a term, but there's actually a term that people use. I made a decision to stand for my marriage. So I was like, I'm believing for my marriage, and I'm taking a stand and believing for it. Even after he left, I still stood for my marriage. And I didn't know what the result was going to be, what the outcome was going to be. I wanted to believe that he could make a U-turn. And even my Christian counselor, when we were separated and Mark had been, moved out of the house for several months, my Christian counselor was like, Jill, I think that you need to start facing reality that you may have to move forward in life without him. And I just didn't feel released at that point.
Yeah. When you say, I want to jump in here because I know that there are people who listening, particularly women, and you hear something like, stand for my marriage. And for some women, that can provoke almost a visceral response of like, come on, he's doing all this. He's abandoned you. He's abandoned the family. And your response is to stand for your, just knowing sometimes how the mind of a woman can work. Some women are almost ready to yell at the radio right now of like,
right.
Come on, Jill.
Right.
Dig a little deeper as to why that from the Lord was the right response for your marriage.
Right. Well, let me tell you about a moment that I had. It was literally the day after I found out about the affair, and I had confronted him. It was not good in that confrontation. And I was laying on my living room floor crying like I was a wreck. The carpet was wet. And I was like, God, you're going to have to tell me what to do. I have no idea what to do. You're going to have to tell me what to do. What do I do? And I heard only one thing. I heard, I want you to love him. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me.
Oh boy.
I remember getting up. You talk about a visceral response, right? Like I had a visceral response. I remember getting up off the floor, looking at heaven, almost like raising my fist to heaven and going, you have to be kidding me. And it wasn't like I heard a voice, but it was this thought that came to my mind that I knew wasn't mine because I wasn't feeling any type of love in that moment, right? And so I remember saying to the Lord, you have to be kidding me. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's not very lovable right now. And I heard God whisper back to my heart, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes you aren't either.
Whew.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, you love me, Lord, when I'm unlovable. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I know how to love somebody who's loving you back. I know how to love somebody when it's reciprocal. I don't know how to love somebody who's not loving you, but you do. You're going to have to show me how to do that. And so that moment, I felt like I had my marching orders, Allie.
Wow.
It wasn't what I wanted, but I felt like it was clear.
Jill and Mark Savage with us right now. No More Perfect Marriages is our featured resource today. So I told you from the top that we are going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've heard some of the bad and the ugly. But let's get to the good part. Let's get to the U-turn. Jill was standing in faith, standing for her marriage, believing that, God, can I love this guy who's not very lovable? Could he possibly, in his lostness, turn back, not just to me, not just to my family, but first and foremost to you? You know the end of the story, right? Because they're on the show and you hear the joy and you hear the laughter and you hear the hope. Maybe you're in a tough marriage today and so much of this story resonates because you're in the middle of the bad and the ugly. I promise we'll get to the good part, the part where God heals and God restores, and the lessons that they want every married couple to take away from this conversation. We've got more with Mark and Jill Savage coming up on Chris Fabry Live. Is there hope for a marriage that is in crisis? Absolutely. When God's in the picture. Mark and Jill Savage with us today on Chris Fabry Live. I'm Allie Domersant sitting in for Chris today. They're the author of today's feature resource, No More Perfect Marriages. Mark, you have been so honest about that dark time in your life where you were lost, you were believing lies of the enemy that said, this woman that I married, she doesn't need me, she doesn't get me, and this life that's possible over here with someone else is surely better than what I have here at home. What did a U-turn look like for you? When did the light go on and you realized how lost you were and what you had kind of thrown away?
I was in a position where the other relationship was falling apart. My relationship with my kids was not going as I had believed, and I was believing that I just needed to divorce and live in ruin and set Jill and the family free. And it was Easter Sunday, 2012. I had my own personal resurrection that day that I actually communicated to Jill that I was going to file for divorce this next week. And I tell you what, Allie, I was in such a mess personally. I didn't even know it was Easter. And
this was like really early morning. We were separated, but we were together that morning because our daughter had a baby. And so our second grandbaby had been born.
Okay.
yeah,
And so we were together at our home that morning. Our two teenage sons got themselves to church, and he and I were just having a brief conversation before he left. And he said, I just want you to know I'm filing for divorce this week. And my heart dropped. And one of the places God had been growing me was to only use my voice for good and if God gave me words, because I realized I had sometimes used my voice for negative and it had torn Mark down. And so that was a place I was changing. And so I didn't even know how to respond. So
Yeah.
I just said, Mark, Jesus didn't want to go to the cross. And he said, Father, take this cup from me. But then he surrendered and said, not my will, but yours be done.
And I tell you, it was the craziest thing. When Jill said that, I heard Father God just almost I felt like he put his arm around me and said, Mark, if you'll trust me for the mess, I'll take care of the rest. And in desperation, I was like, okay, I'm in. And so I looked to Jill and I said, is today Easter? And she was
I
like,
mean, this explains how
I
he
was a
was
mess.
not in a good place.
I was not
right?
in a good
I
place.
mean,
And then I said, oh my goodness, I'm going to pray that same prayer. And so I did. Out loud, I said, Father, I don't know how to fix this, but I've made a mess, and it's not my will, it's yours. Be done. And I would say for the first time in my adult life, I surrendered fully to Jesus Christ. I was a pastor. I would have said I had surrendered, but really I hadn't. I argued with him. I debated with him. I tried to hold him accountable to his word. And on that day, I was like, I'm going to quit fighting with you. I'm going to quit arguing and debating. Just whatever you want me to do. I'm going to grab your hand and do what you say. And that was my U-turn, but that also has been the posture of my heart ever since, that I do not want to be in the way. I just want to have Dad's hand and do what he says.
Yeah.
And for Jill,
I mean, I watched a change come over him in that moment. I physically saw him change in that surrender in a good way. I didn't know really what had happened, but I was like, okay, something's different, because during that last 10 months that we had been walking through, he had recommitted to the marriage and then gone back to the affair 7 times.
right.
But none of them had been like this moment. None of them. And so I knew something had happened. I didn't trust it, but I knew that I was we were on holy ground, right? And he looked up at me and he said, could we go to church? And I thought, well, yeah, we can go to church. And he hadn't been in church in months, probably 6 months. And so we did. We went to church and he spent the day with us, and that was the beginning. He broke off the other relationship completely. He did not move home for another 2 months, but we began the process of healing, and it was putting the wheels back on the bus ever so slowly over the next couple of years.
And both of us, we did not want to go back to the way our marriage had been before. We wanted something new, and we had no idea what that meant, but the Lord had a vision for that, and we just kept leaning into what can Mark and Jill 2.0 look like, and how Lord, how can we get there? And so we began that journey.
You've used words like journey, process, because you don't try to sugarcoat the fact that this was a process out. I mean, of rebuilding trust, of restoring intimacy. And what did that look like? What were some of the key things that allowed you to go from your lowest of lows to like restored trust and joy? What were the key factors there?
Well, one was counseling. And so we began meeting with a counselor every Friday, and we met with that counselor every Friday for 18 months. And so there was a sacrifice of time, of finances. Our counselor was an hour away, so that was a 3-hour commitment every week. So I would say that was a big part of it. We started reading books about affair recovery and about marriage, and we were reading them together. So we'd crawl in bed at night and we'd read 2 or 3 pages. Mark would read the left page, I'd read the right page, and then we talk about it. It'd take us 9 months to get through a book, but
Right.
but
It was like birthing a baby.
but we were birthing a new marriage, right? And we were talking about what we were reading, and we were learning, and it was so lots of, of course I had conversations about what had happened. I had questions. And so he had to be willing to answer those questions without exasperation, without defensiveness. And that was extremely important.
I had been a silent man in our marriage.
Silent and simmering.
Silent and simmering. And in my silence, when I surrendered, my big question was, Lord, I do not know how to love Jill like you love me. And I've got to learn how to do this. And so part of that journey was learning to voice my opinions and to have an opinion and to be willing to have healthy, loving conflict, because that was going to help us get better. And so I began using my voice. I began communicating what I was really thinking and feeling. But also, I was deeply convicted that I made this mess. It was not Jill's fault. It was not anybody's fault but mine. And I needed to, in humility, answer every question Jill had, not get angry at her.
Even if I ask the same question 5 times, which is normal for when you're recovering from infidelity.
Right. And so I was just committed to, I am going to learn how to love her, because that's what Jesus does to us. He's gentle. He's
patient.
He's engaged. He's present. He's not saying, you asked me this 10 times. When are you going to stop? When are you going to get this?
Haven't you learned this by now?
Right.
There's none of that.
No. And so I just had no idea how to do it. And so I was very committed to trying to figure it out and almost do the opposite of what I had done for that first 28 years.
Yeah. And Allie, we've actually written 2 small booklets. They're available on Amazon that specifically talk through. They are for both sides of betrayal. My book is called My Heart is Broken, Your Next Steps When Your Spouse is Unfaithful. And his is called I Really Messed Up, Your Next Steps to Heal Your Marriage After an Affair. Mm-hmm. And those really lead people through what it takes to begin to create that 2.0 marriage, to respond in a way that is trust building. And the only way that trust can be rebuilt, this is really important, Allie, I think people get confused sometimes, is they think that it's all about forgiveness. Forgiveness opens the door for trust to be rebuilt.
Oh, that's
good.
But
forgiveness in and of itself does not rebuild trust. So I forgave Mark, but it took Mark a year to rebuild my trust. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I that's really important, and this is where people struggle. And the person who betrays is like, well, you forgave me. Why are we still talking about this? And so, no, we have to talk about it to continue the rebuilding trust process. And so, and forgiveness, what I will say is layered. It's not once and done. Mm-hmm. I probably had to forgive Mark for, 100 different facets of this thing.
Right.
It wasn't just once and done. It was these dynamics that played out, putting our kids at risk, putting my health at risk, putting our finances at risk. Like, there were so many layers. And so we had to have conversations about those layers. And when he handled those conversations in a patient, honoring way, a humble way, to say, yes, I can see how that put you at risk or put us at risk. And I am sincerely sorry for that piece, or how that is still affecting us. That rebuilt my trust.
Mark and Jill Savage, our guests this hour on Chris Fabry Live. No more perfect marriages. Go to chrisfabrylive.org for the resource of the day. chrisfabrylive.org. We're going to ask them, what would they say to the marriage that's in trouble today? Coming up.
Whether you need encouragement, hope, or just a friend to listen to your heart, you're welcome at Chris Fabry Live. To keep this conversation going, I want to invite you to become a Backfence partner. Your monthly gift keeps us on the air in your neighborhood. Find out about exclusive offers and personal messages from yours truly. Call 866-95-FABRY or automate your giving online at chrisfabrylive.org.
I hope this hour has given you some hope as you've heard Mark and Jill's honest story of how God restored their marriage, restored hope. I want to give some practical takeaways, though, if you are in the middle of it right now. Maybe it's not been infidelity, but maybe it's something else that's caused your marriage to be in a difficult place. Maybe you have talked about the possibility of ending a marriage. Mark, I want to start with you. What would be for the person who's listening today and who goes, we haven't had some big implosion, but boy, the vows that we took, the love that was once there I don't feel it anymore, and I'm pretty sure he or she doesn't either. What would you say to that person listening?
I would say a couple things. One, I wish I had actually had a honest and direct conversation with Jill that communicated my discouragement. And I would say to the husband or the wife, have an honest conversation, but with that, say, I want to invite us to get help. And most certainly, Jill and I would be glad to do help in any way we can. Secondly, for the husband or the wife that is silent and simmering, find your voice. Find your voice in a loving, respectful way to start communicating what you are really thinking, what you are feeling, and what you want to do.
Yeah, learn to be assertive without being aggressive.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jill, what would you add to that, to the person who's listening? Because this conversation hits a lot of people in different ways. If you've gone through some sort of betrayal, it may uproot some things. It may cause, I don't want to overuse it, but the word it may trigger some difficult emotions. Mm-hmm. But I think for the vast majority of people listening, it probably makes them want more in their marriage. Like if your marriage can come back from this, then hope is possible. What do you say?
Yeah, I would say get help. Get help. Don't do it alone. On average, couples wait 6 years to get help. Wow. 6 years past the point of when they really needed help. That's actually what the data shows us. And in that 6 years, there becomes a lot more to untangle. It's not that it can't be untangled. It can. But if you can get help, when things are disappointing and discouraging, get help. And, it's interesting. We do marriage coaching. We have our Marriage 2.0 intensive where couples individually come to our home and we work with them over 3 days. And about 60% of couples that come have been married 40 years or more.
Wow.
40, let that land for just a moment. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, we have plenty of couples that are in their early years and they're getting help before things get really, really difficult and hard. But it's also never too late. Like, it's so satisfying for us to help a couple who are in their 60s and their 70s and they thought they were beyond help, and to go, oh my goodness, we have a new relationship. That's so satisfying. And whether you're working with us or you find a counselor in town or, whatever help you decide that you want to find, just, one of the things we often say is in marriage, if you're not rowing, you're drifting. Ooh. So start rowing. Yeah. Start rowing some way. Start rowing. It could be as simple as having the conversation Mark said and saying, I miss us, or I miss connection. Could we just start setting aside one evening a week that we go do something together? And, sometimes it's just picking some rhythms up and starting to reignite the flame. Sometimes we need some help doing that. We need to work through maybe some resentment or some hurt or some bitterness. And that's when we need to ask for help. So either way, it's important that you have those conversations. I wish Mark would have said to me, I am upset, I am hurting, and I'm actually thinking about leaving. I think that would have helped me to go, whoa, we really need to tend to something here.
Yeah. Mark and Jill 2.0. How much better is Mark and Jill 2.0?
Right.
Oh my gosh, they are
amazing
people. We love Mark and Jill 2.0.
Yeah, we do.
Mark and Jill Savage have so graciously opened their hearts to you this hour. They've mentioned a couple of different resources, so we're going to have those linked up on the website, chrisfabrylive.org, chrisfabrylive.org. I want to thank you both so much for spending this time with us, for your candor, for your honesty. We really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great.
So I hope as you've listened, you've taken something that has encouraged your heart, that's given you some hope, whether you're in a marriage that you are convinced there's no hope for, or maybe you're single and you're listening and you're going, man, I want the 2.0 version first. You heard what was at the center of their marriage, the center of that U-turn. We know that apart from Him, apart from God, there's nothing that we can do. There's no life apart from Him. There's no healthy marriage apart from Him. There's superficial happiness, I guess, but genuine joy, genuine intimacy, that only comes from being connected with the Father. I want to thank you for spending this time with us today. It's truly been a privilege sitting in this seat, getting to share my heart with yours. Chris Fabry Live is a production of Moody Radio, a ministry of Moody Bible Institute. Thanks